Well, we have come out to the George Washington National, no, we're in the Jefferson National Forest. A little bit of a difference here. But the intention was to come out here and go moto camping at a campground about a half a mile up the road, but it's closed. Can't say I blame them. We're in the aftermath of that hurricane, Helene or whatever it was called. So the campground is closed because this was probably a high flash flood area, I assume. The water level's down. We're not in any danger now because there's no more real rain in the forecast. We might get a little drizzle, but not enough to raise the water levels or anything like that around here. Now, this was probably flooded pretty good a day or two ago. I was supposed to meet a friend out here who we were, like I said, we were going to go to that campground, but that being closed, I sent him a text. I got spotty service, so I don't really know if he's even going to be coming or not. So I'm going to whip out some bug spray and set up my hooch for the night, and we'll see what happens. Well, I guess if you're a new subscriber, I should probably explain what I've got going on here. This is just an Army poncho. This is what's called the poncho hooch. This is what I lived under for 10 years in the Army, and it's just 5 bungee cords, one on each corner, strung out to 4 different trees, and then the 5th one is on the hood here, where I've just bent over a branch, tied the hood up so I got a high spot. And as it gets dark, you know, I will just lower the bungee cords on the trees and suck this thing down lower to the ground. You know, just keep me out of the weather and things like that. And if like the wind is blowing, I can drop one side, you know, to block the wind. Or if it starts raining and I'm not ready to go to bed or anything like that, I can raise these up and raise this thing up and just move my chair and everything under here and have a dry spot to go to. So this is how I lived the whole time I was in the Army, underneath the U.S. Army poncho hooch. And if you're wondering why I don't have a tent and everything set up back there, it's because I'm simulating that I'm traveling somewhere. And when it comes to moto camping, there's a couple different types of moto camping, and you kind of have to ask yourself, which one are you doing? Why are you moto camping? Are you camping because you just want to come out to the woods and have a good time and enjoy camping out here in the woods? Or are you traveling somewhere and you just need to stop and get some rest for the night before you pick up and head out in the morning? So I'm kind of simulating that I'm traveling light and I'm just stopping for the night. So that's that hooch setup back there, that's my sleeping setup. So in the morning I can just snatch everything up, throw it back in the bag and be on down the road. I'm not drying out tents and things like that. So you kind of got to ask yourself, you know, when it comes to what to take moto camping, because there's all kinds of videos and stuff out there. Top 5 moto camping items. I disregard all of them. You have to ask, why are you out here? Are you out here because you want to play with some gadgets and have a campfire and sing some songs, drink some beer, do whatever? Or are you just needing someplace to crash for the night because you need to get back underway in the morning? So that's kind of what we're doing out here. And if my buddy shows up, I didn't tell him what I was doing, so we'll see what all he brings and see if there's a stark contrast between our 2 different setups. Like I said, everything else in the bags is wet weather gear, changes of clothes. I've got my dinner in there. I stopped at a gas station on the way here and bought pizza for dinner. That's what I'm going to have, so I'm not cooking. You know, I don't have to worry about cooking gear, cooking utensils. I'm traveling light. So that's what I'm looking at right now. In fact, I'm going to downsize that sleeping bag at some point. I just think it's too big. I'd like something more compact for doing this sort of thing. So hopefully my buddy shows up, doesn't get lost. That's a possibility. I'm not in the spot where I said I was going to be. I messaged him and told him where I was, so hopefully he can find this little alcove. And when it comes to your comfort, you kind of have to ask yourself, when and where do you want to be comfortable? If you want to be really comfortable here, you're going to carry more stuff on your bike. But if you want to be comfortable on your bike going down the road with the lightweight loadout, you carry less stuff. So if you want to be comfortable on the trip, pack light. If you want to be comfortable at camp, pack heavy. Because like I've got an Atacama tent that I could park that bike in, but in order to carry it, it would take up so much room on that bike, you know, I wouldn't have room for anything else. So There's some give and take there, and you kind of have to go over your setup and decide where you want your comfort to be. You know, I don't have any bug protection other than off. You know, so I'm going that minimalist on this trip. See if it works out. But like I said, you kind of have to ask yourself why you're camping for one, so you know kind of what you're bringing. I don't have a camp setup that I just take every time. I grab that and just go. I have lots of different gear that I've collected over the years, and it depends on what I'm doing and where I'm going before I pick what gear. So I don't have, like, you know, my top 5 pieces of camping equipment. So, like I said, you kind of got to ask yourself, why are you camping, and where do you want to be comfortable at? You know, and find that happy medium. You know, that's my advice. So you got all your, got your tent and everything set up. You still got stuff in your bags back here. You got what, all your rain gear and everything over there?
Yeah, rain gear and tools. And there's food and some dry clothes.
You got a lot more space than I do. So I've got rain gear in this bag, extra tube, air compressor, and tire levers in this one. And then that other one's empty, so I've left it empty for this trip because I would normally have that one for clothes and things like that.
Right.
And my shoes were in there so I can get out of my boots. Those were the only thing in that bag. So my setup's for minimalist comfort while camping, but
Well, I wouldn't call that comfort.
you wouldn't call that comfort at all?
No.
So you got the hut, the big old palace back there. So we're looking at the difference between, you know, minimalist camping and carrying less gear on the bike versus carrying a ton of gear on the bike and being comfortable while you're camping. So if I was traveling, I wouldn't bring this table. I'd bring this chair because this is handy, and it's nice to have a comfortable chair to sit in. So yeah, I would bring the chair, but I wouldn't bring the table. And Joe Boo was lucky. He even made his. I actually didn't have him even coming on this trip until I decided to go ahead and bring the camera bag because I was trying to stuff all the camera gear in the bike as well. And with all the camera gear in the bag, I didn't have room for Joe Boo.
Right.
So he was glad I brought the backpack so he could come out. So there we go. So I've been doing some videos about possibly buying another bike. So I want like a little bimble around on type bike. And I don't want to go full size like with the GT, even though it's not a big bike. I mean, it's smaller than your bike. So I kind of want to go like between the GT and Interceptor size down and above the like Super Cub and Groms and things like that. So kind of in between those sizes. And one of the things I'm leaning towards is not getting fuel injection this time. I'm going to go carbureted. So I've been kind of thinking about this concept because kids today, they're not interested in buying cars. You see articles online and everything about that. And they talk about how the younger generation isn't buying motorcycles either, and they're not interested in them. And it's kind of got people baffled as to why that is. Where when we were young, that's all we wanted was, couldn't wait to turn 16 and get our license. You could buy a car, get a motorcycle, whatever. Yep. You know, kids today just really aren't interested in that. And I'm thinking it has to do with what they call the inconvenience of ritual. They don't connect, you know, with the things that we connected with. Because like when we were kids, you know, you had a record player. You know, we didn't have iTunes on our phone. and things like that. So we have a connection to, listening to music with that record player, because you have to physically go to the store and buy the damn thing. And then once you've got it home, you've got it on a shelf, you have to get up, go to that shelf, and look through the album covers and find the one that you want and pull that one out and pull the record out of the sleeve, and you've got the song list on the back or whatever, and you've got the artwork and everything. You're physically holding it. You have some physical connection there, and then you have to put it on the record player, turn it on, put the needle on it, and then you can hear the song you're wanting to hear, as opposed to just pushing a button on your phone.
Yeah.
So,
same with tapes and CDs. You still have to work for it.
Yeah, you still have to put some effort into it. So I'm wondering if, going through that ritual of doing all that to hear the music you wanted to hear gave you a bit of a stronger connection with that, as opposed to just pushing a button on your phone on iTunes or Spotify. And so even like vehicles and things today, we're talking about modern, cars, like some of these cars, you get in them, it's just an iPad. You don't even have physical knobs to roll down the window or turn the AC on anymore. It's a button on a screen. And so I'm wondering if losing that tactile relationship we had with things physically, is leading, the younger generation to not be interested in, like I said, in the things that we're interested in, because they don't have that connection to things. Even, like I said, they're not interested in even getting a driver's license a lot of times. And so I'm wondering if it's because they see, modern motorcycles and cars as, cold appliances. Where to us, when we were growing up, everything was carbureted, and you had to like turn a choke on, turn the key on, kickstart it sometimes, and sit there and hold the throttle and get this machine to to come to life, so you could go travel on it. And so you had kind of that inconvenient ritual that you had to do. But I'm wondering if that inconvenient ritual isn't what kids are missing today.
Everything's just instant.
Yeah, it's just instant gratification, as opposed to having to kind of earn it a little bit. We had to put some effort in to get a motorcycle started. We had to put some effort in, to put a record on a record player, or a tape in a tape deck. So I wonder if that's, leading, causing the younger generation to not have an interest in things like this, like we do.
Yeah.
Not to say today's kids are just, not talking bad about today's kids. I'm just saying that, we kind of grew up in a different, era and in a completely different environment as opposed to what they're growing up with. So to them, this might look like a refrigerator. Might as well be a washing machine or something, because they don't have that connection with it like we did when we were kids.
Just get from point A to point B.
Yeah. But public transportation can do that. Or an e-bike.
Yeah.
So there, what would cause the younger generation to choose a motorcycle versus an e-bike? Do they have any real incentive to do so?
Not really.
Yes, because for us, this is something for us to like fall in love with. And like I said, you kind of have that relationship with your machine. Where to them, all they want to do is turn it on and go.
Yeah, go to the store, get whatever they need.
Yeah, so I wonder if that, has anything to do with it at all.
I don't know. It's weird.
Like I'm wearing a mechanical watch. You're wearing a
Garmin smartwatch.
Yeah. So I wonder if it's kind of like the difference between, this sort of thing versus that sort of thing. All this does is tell time. But this costs. Ouch. But I have a relationship with it. Especially, I've got I only really wear this one out in this environment, but I've got a little hand winding, mechanical that I wear a lot. And I have kind of a relationship with that watch, because I get up every morning, I have to sit there and wind it till it's ready to roll. Then I put it on, we go do and have our day.
Yeah.
I take it off at night. Next morning I get it, same thing. I pick that watch up, keep it alive, and then me and my watch go.
Well, most kids now don't even wear watches.
Yeah, they've got a clock on the front.
Yeah, it's weird.
So I want, so like I was saying, I wonder if that ritual of inconvenience of me having to wind my watch makes me appreciate my watch and have a relationship with it more, as opposed to anybody else who just says they have a clock on their phone so they don't need one. They don't have a relationship with it like that.
Yeah, everything's just instant.
Yeah. And disposable, because you got to get a new phone every few years.
Yeah, that's true.
So I wonder
We're in a disposable world.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a cold appliance that's just disposable, as opposed to something you want to keep and own for. My grandkids are going to get this watch someday. My grandkids aren't going to get my iPhone.
Right.
If they do, they're going to be like, "What the?"
They're going to laugh.
Yeah, they're going to be upset. If they get that.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm kind of keeping that in mind when I'm like I said, I'm kind of looking for this next bike. I want to make sure I have, this ritual that's inconvenient, but I think that leads to having a good relationship, connection with your machine.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I'm looking old school for this next purchase. It doesn't have to be old, but just old school. I want it even more old school than these. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
So you want an EMP-proof zombie apocalypse?
Damn near. I actually mentioned that. I'd done a couple of videos talking about, a couple of different bikes I might be interested in. And actually, Joe Boo made that comment in one of them. It would be. It does have electronic ignition, but that's about it. Interesting concept.
Yeah.
Is it raining or is it just mist? It looks like it's raining. It looks like I'm gonna get under my poncho hoods. Joe Boo, you ready to go to bed? Well, see you guys in the morning.
Oh yeah.
Take care.
See ya.
Morning, everybody. It's not sunny, but it did rain on us for about 4 hours last night. You stayed pretty dry, didn't you?
I was dry as a bone.
I got wet. It really wasn't because of the poncho setup. It's because I used my ground sheet from my tent as my ground cover, and it's not water resistant. So it kind of like soaked up water from the ground and turned my sleeping bag into a sponge. So
Nice.
So I'm a little wet. That, and I had water drip into one of my boots.
Right.
I must have had like a little drip because I woke up and there was just a 1/4 inch of water in my left boot. So I'm gonna go home with a wet foot. But we're gonna do a segment here about the bikes because we filmed this yesterday, but while I was hiding under my hooch from the rain, I was looking at the footage and the audio didn't appear to be good. So we're gonna refilm a little bit here because there's some changes to the Super Meteor since the last time we've seen it. You've done a few things to it. You realized I wasn't full of shit, that these bags are actually pretty good.
No, the bags are awesome. It's worth the money. I know they're a little expensive, but they are so useful and handy.
Yeah.
And they just look like really good and really different.
It's one of them things that it's expensive, but just bite the bullet, get it over with. Because once you've got them, you're glad you've got them.
Oh yeah.
Now you've got different side bags. 'Cause I've got the racer bags and you've got the Super Patriots. which his are a roll top bag, where mine's kind of this little flip top bag. And those are about double the size of these once you expand them all the way out. So you've got 90 liters of capability there. Where I've got 12, 24 and 30, what's that, 54? You've got 90. So that's a lot.
It sounds like a lot, but once you start packing, it's really not a lot.
It's never enough. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
how. It doesn't matter how much. You can have a trailer on it, and it's still not enough. But
But
you've also added some new pipes.
Yeah, I got the Rhino Racing exhaust without the baffles in right now. Tried it with the baffles. I just like it, the loudness better without it.
Yeah,
It just makes it more fun to ride.
I think yours has more of a deep low grumble, where mine's got more of a raspy bark.
Yeah, yours
Yeah,
sounds more like
they sound different. They don't sound the same. Fire that thing up. Let everybody.
yeah,
Know.
that's. It's like throaty.
So just by way of comparison, so yeah, mine's got more raspy bark to it, where yours is low grumbly. So if they're trying to make it sound like a Harley, they did all right.
Yeah. That's where my wife says she can't tell whose bike's coming home because our neighbors have a bunch of Harleys. And we always used to hear them. And now she can't tell the difference between my bike and some of their Harleys. Not all the Harleys, but like some of them. So it's kind of funny.
So that's the difference between the Rhino pipes and the S&S pipes. You also put some little mid-mounted foot pegs.
I did. I got those initially when I first bought the bike because this is my first cruiser ever. Like I've never even touched a cruiser before in my life. And the forward controls felt really awkward to me, like on my driveway, because the gravel driveway, it's like a half-mile long gravel. And it just felt like my rear I couldn't control it. And I'm so used to standing up on the Himalayan anytime I hit gravel that anytime sitting on the Himalayan on gravel feels weird to me. I'm just so used to standing up. So I got the center pegs so I could stand up situations like that, or on long trips if I need to stretch my legs or something. But now I found I don't use them. At first I was using them every time I left the driveway, every time I came home, or going over railroad tracks and stuff. But now, especially with the new suspension, which we can get into in a second, I don't seem to use the center pegs hardly at all anymore because I guess I'm just more comfortable with the bike, and I can even fishtail it a little in the driveway sometimes for fun.
Your suspension's not as I don't want to say stiff, but it's keeping better contact with the ground.
Right. So it was bouncing, so I would lose traction, especially if I was kind of sliding and hitting little ruts or washboards. It would bounce, and I could feel it like losing. You could, every time the tire.
Feel the tire leave the riding surface.
Yeah, I was losing traction a lot. And with the new YSS suspension, I don't feel that at all anymore. So it's keeping better traction, and I'm fishtailing way less.
Yeah, a lot of people think rear suspension, even front suspension, is there to make the ride comfortable. It's not. It's there to keep your tires in contact with the riding surface. If you get comfort out of it, that's a side effect.
Right.
That's really what's going on here. And you also added a power port up on your.
Yeah, I added
dash.
the factory USB.
Is that factory or is that Hitchcock's?
Well, it's Hitchcock's. I just assumed factory, but yeah.
So you moved. So you still got your port under here.
Yeah.
But that one, you wanted one more convenient up top. And so
Yeah.
you added that. Okay.
And yeah, yesterday was the first time I used it. It worked.
I think it's the same one that I've got, just a different mount.
Yeah, it's probably the same. I don't
I
like the
believe
way
it's-
that
I
I
believe
don't
it's the
like
same
where
one.
it mounts,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to get something quick that I knew would work for now.
So you still love the bike?
I'm loving it.
Good.
I've ridden this. I got 1,870 miles. I've had it, about 2 months?
2 months, yeah. Probably a little less than 2 months, maybe.
So before we had all this rain the last couple weeks, I was averaging about 40 some miles a day. So I don't know what that equals now, but yeah, I just can't stop riding it.
Yeah, I love mine too. I'm working so much right now that I'm not putting a ton of miles on it. And we've been trying to make this video for what?
3 weeks?
3 weeks. It has rained for 3 weeks straight. Yesterday, I was finally like,
You know what?
we're going in the rain. Let's go.
Let's do it. We'll bring ponchos.
Yeah. We're just following a hurricane that just came through here. So we're going to finish drying off and packing up and getting out of here. We'll cut this video off. And we'll catch you guys next time. So we got some updates on the Super Meteor. GT's still doing fine. See you guys next time we do something crazy.
Did you want to talk about
What?
the water?
Oh yeah, we did notice the bike sat out uncovered in the rain all night. And so we opened up the air boxes to look and see if water had gotten in there, and it did. More so on yours.
Yeah, mine was, when I opened the side, he's got pictures of it. It was a big puddle of water in there, and water was dripping down directly onto the DNA air filter.
Yeah, I'll point it out how it was getting in there. It's kind of almost like a design flaw.
Yeah.
Almost. I had just a few drops. I didn't have much in mine, but yours had some puddles in there. So I'll annotate in pictures of that so you guys can see what we're talking about. Keep that in mind if you're considering this bike. All right, we'll catch you guys next time. Take care. If we get some more rain, we'll be out in it again, I'm sure.
Oh, we'll wait for the snow, man.
Yeah, when it snows, we'll make another video. Bye.